Thank you very much for this kind invitation, and congratulations for all the recommendations and the opportunity we have to bring together all the sister projects. So my name is Vicky. Why CALIPER is sitting here with the sister projects today is because we support RFOs and RPOs that are at an initial stage for improving gender equality, to design then their gender equality plans. So what's the innovation? We don't limit our activities in the walls of academia, and we engage also the innovation hub, as we call it. It includes the government, the industry, the academia, the civil society, because we really believe that women career also out of academia as well, and all the design of the gender equality plan took place along with all the local ecosystem. What else? Why we are where we are today? We started in 2020 when the pandemic started as well. So it's obvious that all the actions have been designed within this period. And to be honest, everything was influenced from what was happening. Today we are invited here because we respond to the sexual harassment activities and gender violence in work. We have almost all our organizations have designed relevant activities to prevent and to deal with such cases. What we have selected to say as examples are, for example, the Engineering School of Athens has designed an automated mechanism to deal with sexual harassment cases. They identified the need, so they are now piloting this mechanism. We have all our partners refining the protocols, the legal restrictions they have. They have been focusing too much on the regulations for the workplace. Of course, a lot of trainings took place against increasing awareness what sexual harassment is in workplace and how to tackle and how to respond. So far, I have 1 minute. We are finishing by the end of this year. In November, we will have our final final conference. You will soon receive an official invitation for this. What will be our goal is that we would like to investigate how all the efforts of the organizations have done to design and develop gender equality plans will be sustained beyond the European funding. All the projects have prepared their sustainability plan, and we want to identify how everything is moving on. We are organizing this with the sister project LEGEP. It is taking place here in Brussels. What else? And there will be representatives there from the Prime Ministry in Belgium in education, from the European Parliament, and of course from the European Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For questions, if anybody has a question to any of the sister projects, just go grab them, and ask the question. So the next sister project is Response, and it will be presented by Christine Palanza.
Thank you. So, yeah, thank you for giving our project and me this opportunity. You basically have heard it all already from Anke, who is in our main research team. I'm basically from the project office. So we only have some preliminary findings and highlights because we are about to finish in May next year, so there will be a lot more. We have three main aims: to study population mental health, policy responses and how mental health has been integrated to the pandemic, and to test the interventions that Anke mentioned for psychosocial support. So from the population mental health aspect, we are working on an individual patient data meta-analysis of several cohort studies from all across Europe and also some countries out of Europe. And some umbrella reviews funded by the WHO, and also some registry-based studies in Sweden, Italy, and Spain to compare the very different measures. And this is working in progress, but the umbrella review showed that, yeah, depression and anxiety have increased. There were fluctuations across time, along with the number of COVID deaths mostly. But depression was a bit more persistent, and we found that there are very important demographic differences. There are vulnerable groups, and you won't be surprised to hear that this is women, youth, people with pre-existing physical health conditions, also those in precarious employment state. And loneliness and decrease in activities are important risk factors, but we do need a lot more longitudinal evidence. As part of that, we have also studied a few things on mental health care needs after COVID hospitalization, and some things about domestic violence by me. And yeah, it's very much in line with what you have presented. So socioeconomic factors more important than confinement measures. Regarding policy, we have used mixed methods, qualitative and quantitative. So far, it seems that there has been important miscommunication in the different levels of governance. And mental health, we're not sure. The evidence is mixed on whether it was taken into account or not. And we also did the discrete choice experiment described here. And it seems that policymakers now, when they make decisions, they take into account mostly mental health and number of hospitalizations, while the general population is most concerned with their mobility. And we also have the psychosocial support interventions, the step care program that Anke mentioned. Yeah, so first, that's self-help that is guided by peers. And if they remain distressed after that, we give them this condensed form of psychotherapy, Problem Management Plus, mostly remotely delivered. We have targeted the groups that Anke mentioned. And since you have heard that, I will focus on the results we have from Spain. It's effective. The effect is moderate on depression and anxiety and on PTSD, but not so persistently. It is safe and very suitable for scaling up. You can read more. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine. And next is ACTING project, and it's going to be presented by our colleague, RESISTIRÉ colleague, Marina Cacace. Thank you, Marina.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, ACTING project is not strictly a sister project in that it's not focusing on COVID, but it has a lot in common because it's dealing with the consequences of Green Deal policies and the impact of the policies for environmental protection on vulnerable groups. So on the one hand, the effects of climate change and yes, pollution and all other environmental problems on vulnerable groups. On the other hand, also the effects of the policies, because the policies may have an unequal and unequalizing effect on people. The most obvious examples are, I don't know, electric cars, which are so expensive, but there are, of course, many other examples dealing with a lot of issues. And as you might see from this picture, the project resembles and works on a very similar methodological approach than RESISTIRÉ, also because we have some partners in common. The coordinator is the European Science Foundation, the scientific coordinator is Örebro Gothenburg University, and yes, we can see all the partners here.
And so we have a cycle with research, we have the open studios and the creativity step and the solutions in terms of pilot actions. Pilot action that are going to be launched now, and there will be 10 in just one go. So a lot of calls will be open in a matter of a couple of weeks. And then to work again on pilot actions, policy recommendation and research agenda. So it is similar. And the project is a research and action research project, is organized in 8 different research lines covering some of the most important areas of the Green Deal. So climate action, and in particular investigating local knowledge on natural hazards, biodiversity, exploring the behavioral change in terms of adopting pro-environment behavior, due to land use restriction, because this is another case where land use restrictions are needed, but they can harm group of people living locally. Clean energy, so experiences of involving vulnerable people into energy communities, and also providing insight on how small and micro entrepreneurs can adopt less polluting and more environmental behaviors. Then about food, we have 2 research lines on food, triggers to lead to changes in terms of food purchasing and consumption, and values associated with environmentally sustainable food consumption. Then we have mobility. I was mentioning before some example, transport poverty on the one hand, and a research line is focused on achieving sustainable mobility, focusing on active mobility, cycling and walking. And in particular, this was very much focused on the post-lockdown situation. Since I have just 1 minute, we have no less than 3 posters here, so you can read everything. I just wanted to mention that the research line on vulnerability is really focusing on how much the experience of the lockdown provided an opportunity to rethink mobility. In most cases, in many cases, unfortunately, this opportunity is not being seized. And after the lockdown, the mobility patterns have become more or less, are becoming how they were before. There are other cases where instead, because, you know, lockdown made it possible to, I mean, on the one hand, supported active mobility when possible. On the other hand, produced paradoxically a return to cars and to private transport because of the fear of contagion. So, but then there was a moment, and we have also, because we are using narratives, there are excerpts from narratives talking about this and how the cities were deserted. And I mean, no cars, no nothing. And how people started walking, started cycling, etc. But then what happened? And so this is the research line are investigating the same set of phenomena, like this one about mobility, for instance, in several countries across the partnership across Europe. So to have a comparative approach, more or less, this is it.
Thank you. Thank you, Marina. And the last one is UniSAFE, and it's going to be presented by Anne-Laure Humbert from Oxford Groups.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, I'm here just to present UniSAFE, but I just want to acknowledge the presence in the room of many other members of the consortium, in particular from CH, I should, from Yellow Window, Arbor University, the Czech Academy of Science, and I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. So the UniSAFE project is a 3-year project that is running until February of 2024. It was a 3-year project. We were looking at tackling gender-based violence in universities and research organizations. And we did that by first producing some knowledge, so really trying to understand the context, doing a lot of empirical work. We did, for example, extensive mapping of policies at national and RPO level, so at the level of organizations. We did a lot of interviews with people that had experienced gender-based violence, particularly those that were coming from minoritized groups. We did a number of institutional case studies to look at possible effective institutional responses, and we did a survey of gender-based violence in 15 countries, 46 institutions, and from which we got over 42,000 responses. With that empirical knowledge, our aim is to produce insights and to develop tools that organizations can use to tackle gender-based violence. So this is very much what is happening in this last phase of the work at the moment. Just all the empirical work has been conducted, and we are now in the process of developing this. So it's just going to be available from the project website in the coming months. We are using a very holistic understanding of gender-based violence. So we are avoiding the conflation, for example, between gender-based violence and violence against women. We are really bringing attention to the structural and systemic nature of gender-based violence, and as something that can and does affect just many different groups, regardless of gender identity, but of course, from an intersectional perspective, just many other different groups. We work with a very wide 7P model, where we put the prevalence of gender-based violence at the center, and we just develop our empirical material and the tools along this. So just along prevention, protection, prosecution, the provision of services, partnerships, and of course, all of this underpinned by a policy framework in the institution. Maybe I should say something also about the fact that we are also very interested in understanding the multi-level aspect of gender-based violence, looking at how we see experiences and consequences of gender-based violence played out at the individual level. But we really seek to develop understanding and tools that respond to what is happening just in terms of organizations. So just really at institutional level, and also understand how that may relate to the macro context, so more at a national level. So watch this space. We will have a final conference in November. Go to our website to download a lot of the reports and the tools that are there. Sign up to the newsletter. At the moment, we're just very busy developing the tools, and just like also a lot of further analysis coming from this. So if some of you are interested, it's just like this is another poster about just one of the several papers that have been written about the project. Thank you.
Where is Colette? Hi, Colette. Do we have now a pilot project presentation? No, okay.
Thank you very much. Now on to this afternoon session.
Welcome back. Sorry, a little too loud. Please take your seat. We'll start the afternoon session with a short movie before we get to the real serious stuff, which is policy. And why we are here to pass on the lessons to the policymakers. But we made a small compilation of movies, which you might already have seen. There is a long version that is being shown on a computer in the back of near the exhibition. But I will go higher. As you know, we did 9 pilot projects. We funded 9 pilot projects. In RESISTIRÉ, 3 of them had an event as part of the projects. These 3 projects have been presented already to you during the program. It's the care fair, which was part of the program of this morning. These are the 2 projects where the idea was to try to use sports and sports clubs to empower youth to deal with gender-based violence and harassment. So we made a very short movie of 8 minutes, bringing the material together that the projects themselves, so the NGOs that organized it, gave us. The quality is not always that good, and we combine it, so sorry for that, but it will give you an impression. And we think it's important, one, to give you an impression of what these events and these projects are, but also because of the importance of young people. And these 3 projects were addressing young people and their mental health and the challenges they face in life and in preparing for adult life. So, Adam, please let go.
First of all, I think it's very good for our school because I think it's also like it's a good promotion for our school. It shows that we care about our students, about their mental health, and also for students. I think it's very good because they'll get to experience, they can try psychotherapy, maybe even for the first time in their life. They can see how things are done, and then they can also find out that there will always be help if they have any issues.
That they will not feel as alone, and they will maybe start reaching out, and they will not be so hopeless. Because from what I know as a student, there is this sense of hopelessness that we divided teachers versus students, and they can maybe from today see differently that we're all in this together, that we can ask each other for help and console each other.
So I was quite interested about hearing people's stories about like their depressions or their problems they had as a child, which is quite helpful to people our age because we kind of get to know what to do, you know. So they have some kind of experience, they talk from experience, which I find very interesting, which is also only the best, you know, that it's not just like they're talking about something they have not experienced. And also I found the workshop of like helping others and helping myself interesting because I get to understand what are the best techniques to like help others when they have problems to which I don't like have the solutions and they don't either.
Dobar dan, moje ime je Aleksandar Stevanović, ja sam trener odbojkaškog, ženskog odbojkaškog kluba Panda i mi smo uzeli učešće danas u ovoj manifestaciji jer smatramo da je vrlo važno da se deca od malena pored sporta susretnu sa nekim stvarima koje su jako bitne za njihov razvoj, za njihovu ulogu u društvu, a te teme se danas promovišu na različite načine. Jedan od tih načina je i sport. Govorimo o rodnoj ravnopravnosti, o inkluziji, o nenasilju i o toleranciji. Vrlo je bitno da se te stvari pomenu i da deca rastu sa tim u skladu sa nekim vrednostima koje se promovišu već dugi niz godina, koje smatramo vrlo naprednim civilizacijskim vrednostima.
Najviše mi se svidelo to što je internacionalni projekat, što ima deci iz raznih zemalja, nema diskriminacije, to je ono što je najbitnije, a moja poruka ostalima je da smo svi jednaki i da se ne odvajamo.
Poruka je naša da treba da prihvatimo sve različitosti koje postoje, da li nacionalne, da li polne, da se prilagođavamo jedni drugima i da će sve da bude normalno mnogo bolje nego što je sada.
Iz priprema ovog događaja mislim da smo naučili jako puno. Pre svega da su zajednice u kojima radimo, posebno manje sredine, izuzetno spremne da svoje prostore otvore za ovakve projekte i za njihovo repliciranje. Ovaj projekat dao je priliku da se umreže predstavnici institucije, organizacije civilnog društva, sportski treneri, sportski menadžeri i veliki broj dece, pozitivne reakcije su prosto dominantne i vidimo da postoji prostor da se ovakve stvari nadalje rade u ovim zajednicama.
Βασικό μέλημα αυτών των αγώνων είναι η ισότητα, η ανάδειξη της ισότητας ανάμεσα στα δύο φύλλα. Γι' αυτό λοιπόν σκεφτήκαμε ότι πρέπει να το συμπεριλάβουμε και να είναι ένα μεγάλο κομμάτι του project. Το διαφορετικό που έχει συμβεί σε αυτό το κατατόπια από τα προηγούμενα, το οποίο είναι και το 15ο όπως προανέφερα, είναι ότι συμπεριλάβαμε εκτός από τους φοιτητές που ήταν μέχρι τώρα, αθλητές μικρότερων ηλικιών, 11 ως 17, που συμμετείχαν στην τελετή έναρξης και έπαιξαν παιχνίδια διαφορετικά που όλα αυτά προάγουν την ισότητα και το σεβασμό ανάμεσα στα δύο φύλλα. Με τις ιδέες που έχει ο κύριος Ρούσος, αλλάζουν τους κανόνες των αθλημάτων και των παιχνιδιών και χρησιμοποιούμε άλλα όργανα ή πολύ διαφορετικές μπάλες ώστε να πραγματοποιηθούν τα αθλήματα. Για παράδειγμα, στο τένις, αντί από την κλασική ρακέτα φέτος, θα χρησιμοποιήσουν ρακέτες φτιαγμένες από μουσικά όργανα.
Because it's a festival where people come together and through sports, they understand in a different way how to interact with each other. The way the sport is used is through a ball which provides different advantages and so strength and power are not making a big difference between the athletes. They need also to use their brain and strategical mindset. And so it gives more opportunity for an equal competition.
Για μένα πιστεύω ότι όλες οι εμπειρίες που έχουν να κάνουν μέσω του παιχνιδιού και του αθλητισμού σου δίνουν ένα βήμα και μια σκέψη παραπάνω ώστε να μην υπάρχουν πλέον φαινόμενα βίας και να έρθει η ισότητα των δύο φύλων. Η κοινωνία δυστυχώς είναι αρκετά πίσω στην Ελλάδα σε αυτό το κομμάτι, οπότε πιστεύω ότι μέσω του project και αυτού του event θα διαδοθεί περισσότερο και τα παιδιά θα γνωρίσουν και άλλα πράγματα πέρα από το σχολείο και την οικογένεια.